I don't really know how to teach this lesson because you can go in about 1,000 different ways and not even touch it, but I kept thinking about eyes of God. And then I got to thinking about we have eyes. And we sang that song, Open Mine Eyes, that we may see glimpses of truth. And I pray that our eyes will be open, that we can see some truths. And I could spend an hour and a half on just one person in here that I was reading about, but I won't. But the thought is on my heart about God's eyes, and come on in, Brother Ken. God's eyes, and then I want to look at our eyes. Just before I retired, I had cataract surgery, and one of my eyes went bad, pretty well blinded in one eye, partially blind, I'll put it like that. And I hadn't ever really thought about how important your eyes are in a natural way. If you just close your eyes, your dominant eyes, or say it's on the right side, and you close that dominant eye, fortunately mine wasn't the dominant eye. I'm thankful for that. I can still shoot a bow or see things way off. But if you just close your dominant eye, it's hard to even drive or anything. I don't know if you've ever been in that situation, but our eyes are something that are special, and I'm thankful we got eyesight. So I realize that, but more important than our natural eyes is our spiritual eyes. Where do you get spiritual eyes from, David?
Gift from God.
It's a gift from God. God blesses us with spiritual eyes. God's Peter chapter 3 verse 12 says, the eyes of the Lord are over the righteous, and his ears are open to their prayers. But he's against them that do evil. The eyes of the Lord, that means he sees us, right? The eyes of the Lord. That's all seeing eye right there. He sees us, and his ears are open to our prayers. He hears us, and not only he hears us, but he also sees us. But then there's a judgment comes in that verse that I just quoted. So the eyes of the Lord are over the righteous, those who are doing right, and his ears are open to their prayers. Those who are doing right, he can hear them, he can see them. But he says, then at the last part, that he's against them that do evil. Does God see us right now? He sees us right now. And he sees us where we do the righteous, or he sees us when we're doing evil. You know, that's kind of scary, isn't it? In a way, in a natural sense, that is very scary when you know that God sees you, all things that you do. God looks on our heart. Turn over to 1 Samuel chapter 16. 1 Samuel 16. And Brother David, if you read first 7 verses on the title, just look at that 7th verse there when you get to reading those first 7 verses. And think about God has eyes.
Let me wake this thing up this morning.
Okay.
What verse?
Chapter 16, verses 1 through 7.
Okay. And the Lord said unto Samuel, how long wilt thou mourn for Saul, seeing I have rejected him from reigning over Israel? Fill thine horn with oil, and go, I will send thee to Jesse the Bethlehemite, for I have provided me a king among his sons. And Samuel said, how can I go? If Saul hear it, he will kill me. And the Lord said, take an heifer with thee, and say, I am come to sacrifice to the Lord. And call Jesse to the sacrifice, and I will show thee what thou shalt do. And thou shalt anoint unto me him whom I name unto thee. And Samuel did that which the Lord spake, and came to Bethlehem. And the elders of the town trembled at his coming, and said, comest thou peaceably? And he said, peaceably. I am come to sacrifice unto the Lord. Sanctify yourselves, and come with me to the sacrifice. And he sanctified Jesse and his sons, and called them to the sacrifice. And it came to pass, when they were come, that he looked on Eliab, and said, Surely the Lord's anointed is before him. And the Lord said unto Samuel, Look not on his countenance, or on the height of his stature, because I have refused him. For the Lord seeth not as man seeth, for man looketh on the outward appearance, but the Lord looketh on the heart.
Amen. Here the Lord was talking to Samuel about, and he was mourning over Saul. And he said to him, that he was not going to be the ruler or the king over Israel. He told him to fill his horn and go to Jesse. And Jesse had several sons. Remember that? And he said, I provided a king among the sons of Eli. And he thought he'd be the one because he was, he said man looks on the outward appearance. That's the main one I'm trying to get at. Man, we see people as, well, when David was king, was he a head taller than the rest? And his countenance he looked good, he was young. And that's what the people wanted. And did Israel get a king? They got it. But then later on, he was brought down. So here he was talking to Jesse, and he told him that, he says, look on Eli, and he thought he would be the one, but God looks on the heart of man. And where sometimes that we just look on the outward appearance. God's ways are not our ways. And his thoughts are not our thoughts. And his eyes, he sees things that we don't see. God, there's not a creature, the Bible tells us over in Hebrews there's not a creature manifest in his sight. But all things are naked and open to whom in other words, what we do. Did God see us? The Lord is. The Lord's eyes are right there. And he saw that. In Proverbs 15:3 it says, the eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding evil and good. The eyes of the Lord is everywhere, in all places, and he tells where you do it, evil or good. The Bible says over in Hebrews, if you put the notes down, for the Lord is quick and powerful and sharper than a two-edged sword, piercing even and dividing asunder the soul and spirit and joints and marrow, and has discerned the thoughts and the intent of the heart. Neither is there any creature manifest. I just read that, or quoted that. But he sees everything. And we're in his sight, and he sees all. Now this word here, a lot of people when they read that, for the word of the Lord is quick and powerful and sharper than a two-edged sword, that W-O-R-D, if you'll notice in your Bible, it's capitalized, or should be capitalized. I'll put it like that. There's 2 times in the Bible that word is capitalized, should be capitalized, and it's not. In John chapter 1, verse 1, it says, in the beginning was the Word, and it's W-O-R-D in your Bible. But it should be capital W-O-R-D. Why? Because it's God. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That word should be capitalized. And the same here in Hebrews 4:12 and 13. That word quick and powerful and sharper and to it, and it can discern the thoughts. Now, can this Bible discern your thoughts?
No.
No, it can't. What does it mean? He discerns even thoughts. The Word can discern. That is Jesus Christ right there, and He can discern your thoughts and your ways and all these things. Over there in Psalms 139, turn to that, Brother David, and I want you to think about how that God is everywhere. In Psalm 139, let's read that. Read the whole chapter. It's not very much. And think about this, how that we can't hide from God.
O Lord, thou hast searched me and known me. Thou knowest my down sitting and my uprising. Thou understandest my thought afar off. Thou compassest my paths and my lying down, and art acquainted with all my ways. For there is not a word in my tongue, but lo, O Lord, thou knowest it altogether. Thou hast beset me behind and before, and laid thine hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high, I cannot attain unto it. Whither shall I go from thy spirit? Or whither shall I flee from thy presence? If I ascend up into heaven, thou art there. If I make my bed in hell, behold, thou art there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there shall thy hand lead me, and thy right hand shall hold me. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, even the night shall be light unto me. Yea, the darkness hideth not from thee, but the night shineth as the day. The darkness and the light are both alike unto thee. For thou hast possessed my reins. Thou hast covered me in my mother's womb. I will praise thee, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are thy works, and that my soul knoweth right well. My substance was not hid from thee, when I was made in secret and curiously wrought in the lowest parts of the earth. Thine eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect, and in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance were fashioned, when as yet there was none of them. How precious also are thy thoughts upon me, O God, how great is the sum of them. If I should count them, there are more in number than the sand. When I awake, I am still with thee. Surely thou wilt slay the wicked, O God. Depart from me, therefore, ye bloody men. For they speak against thee wickedly, and thine enemies take thy name in vain. Do not I hate them, O Lord, that hate thee? And am not I grieved with those that rise up against thee? I hate them with perfect hatred. I count them mine enemies. Search me, O God, and know my heart. Try me and know my thoughts, and see if there be any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting.
Well, that's far enough. The point is, God sees his substance anywhere he's at. You can go back to the very beginning in Genesis chapter 3. Did God see Adam and Eve? They were hid from God, supposedly. But they wasn't really hid. There wasn't a creature manifest that's not in his sight. He sees all. In that Proverbs that says the eye of the Lord sees all good and evil. And he saw Adam and Eve in the garden. He sees us just like that. Every day he sees us. Jonah thought he was hid. Jonah did everything in the world that goes contrary to what God was telling him to do. He went the opposite direction. But God saw him. He saw his substance right there. It says you can make your bed in hell. If you go to heaven, thou art there. If you go to hell, he's right there. You can't run from God, and we a lot of times try to run from God. But we got to realize that God sees all. I thought about now that not only that God has eyes, we have eyes. Matter of fact, we got 4 eyes. 2 natural eyes and 2 spiritual eyes. And the Bible teaches about many that some of them, their eyes were closed. And their natural eyes, they could see good. Give you an example of Saul over there in Acts chapter 9. He could see with his natural eyes, but then he was blinded, wasn't he? When he saw Jesus, he was blinded by the light that comes. Now his natural eyes, he couldn't see because he was blind. But then God opened his eyes that he could see after they had led him to the street called Straight. Then he had those spiritual eyes, didn't he? And he could see spiritually. And he wrote most of the New Testament. Paul, he was changed from Saul to Paul, and he wrote most of the New Testament after God opened his eyes that he could see. Now, that's amazing to me how that he was blinded naturally, but then his eyes could see, and then the Lord blessed him with both ways. And again, he could go from here to there and preach about the kingdom of heaven or the kingdom of God. But he's a good example of somebody's eyes that had been opened. In Luke chapter 24, unbelievers, their eyes were open. There were two men on the road to Emmaus. If you read Luke 24, that chapter, the whole chapter, you'll find out that Jesus had just been crucified, and he had done told them that he was going to die and be rose again. And because of unbelief, they were walking down the road of Emmaus, and a man kept coming toward them and come up to them, and that man was Jesus Christ himself. And he got to talking to them, and matter of fact, he even rebuked them in that chapter, if you'll read it. But the main point is, their eyes were closed because of unbelief. And they could not see that stranger that come to the road to Emmaus, they couldn't see that it was Jesus. And they were walking down. When they come to the house, Jesus kept walking, to my understanding. And then he turned around and he told them he wanted to go eat with them. And they did. And when he was eating with those two, their eyes were opened, it says, and they could see that it was Jesus. Well, I pray that we have our eyes open. Every child of God that's born of the Spirit of God, not everybody has those spiritual eyes, but once you're born of the Spirit of God, then you have those spiritual eyes that you can see. We call it the eye of faith. We have that eye of faith. You ever heard of that? Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1, it says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for and evidence of things not seen. We may not see by faith things this way, but the eye of faith, if God opens your eyes that you can see spiritually, you can exercise that eye of faith and grow like a muscle and become great in faith because your eyes have been opened. I thought about over in Kings, I can't remember if it's first or second. I think it's second Kings. I'm not sure. Anyway, the 6th chapter, about the 17th verse, Elisha and his servant, Elisha had just seen the power of God happen. And then he starts running, and he's scared of a woman. And Elisha and him and his servant, they come up and they had war against Syria. They had the Syrian, and Elisha had been telling them what position they would be in with their army. And Elisha had a servant with him, and the people found out that Elisha was doing all this talking, and they come toward him with soldiers, thousands of them, all over the horses and chariots everywhere come to him. And Elisha begged to God, he said he prayed for his eyes to be opened. And he opened his eyes and he could see more of them than there were of the army of Syria. Now, when God opens your eyes and you see things like that, that is beautiful to know that God does open eyes. In Matthew chapter 5, verse 8, well, let me go to Hagar first. Hagar in the Old Testament, before we get to the New Testament. Hagar, what did she do? What did Hagar do? Anybody remember? She was the bondwoman, I guess you call it. Abraham had a wife, Sarah, and they couldn't have a child. So she puts in and tells Abram, at that time, she puts in and tells him, you go with the Hagar, the handmaid, I think what you call it, the bondwoman, handmaid, and you have a child, and they did. His name was Ishmael, if I pronounce it right. Well, later he grew and grew and grew, and then Sarah got mad at her and sent her out in the desert with a bottle of water and a little bit to eat. And that didn't last long. They call it spent. It spent. It was gone in just a little while. And she left her son a little old tree, and she went a bow shot, they said, just a short piece, and was fixing to die. And she prayed to God, Lord, I need you at this point. I'm fixing to die, is what she said. And the Lord opened Hagar's eyes, and she could see them in a spiritual way and a natural way. But the main point was the spiritual way, and she could see water then, and they lived. But the main point is God is the one that opened her eyes. She was a child of God. And then I thought about over in Matthew where it says, blessed are the pure in heart, or those that are doing right. What they going to do? Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. If your heart's right, then you will see God. But Proverbs over at 29:14 it says, where there is no vision, the people what? Perish. In other words, they die. If you have no vision, if you don't exercise that faith, those spiritual eyes and faith, the eye of faith, then you'll die. I thought about two couple over in Matthew chapter 13. Turn to Matthew 13. Brother David, how about read Matthew 13:8? Now everybody don't have spiritual eyes. That don't sound right, do it? But those that, like I said, that are born of the Spirit have eyes. Many prophets and righteous men have desired to see things and did not. Read that, Brother David.
You say Matthew 13:8?
Yeah, Matthew chapter 13, verse 8.
I don't think that's scripture.
That's not it?
But others fell into good ground and brought forth fruit.
Yeah, it's right after that. It might be 11, somewhere in there. Talking about the parable of the seed and the sower. And then he comes down, he tells you, it might be the wrong verse I give you. The 13th chapter, but I'll give you the wrong verse. Hold on a minute. Huh? 13th verse. 13,
15.
I don't know.
13 is speaking in parables because they see not.
Yeah, that's it.
They had asked disciples that come to him and said, why speaks thou in parables? And he answered and said unto them, this is the 10th and 11th verses, because he had given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundantly. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away even that he hath. Therefore, speak to them in parables, because they seeing see not, and hearing they hear not. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Elias, which saith, by hearing ye shall hear, and seeing, and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive. For the people's heart was waxed gross, and their ears are full of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them.
I'm going to get the 17th verse. That's what I was trying to
Blessed are the eyes, for they see, and the ears, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For verily I say unto you, that many prophets or righteous men have desired to see these things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear these things which ye hear, and have not heard them.
Well, let's stop right here. You see where everybody can't see? He says many prophets.
All men have not faith.
All men do not. That's right. Thessalonians 3:2, Brother David quoted there. In 1 Thessalonians 3:2, it says, all men have not faith. Well, if they don't have faith, then they don't have spiritual eyes. And they can't see. And unbelief and things like that, you cannot see. Many prophets, it says in 17th verse, I think it is, many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which you see, and have not seen them. Why? They can't see. Over in Corinthians 2:9, I believe it says, eye hath seen and ear heard what the things that... read that. I ain't going to be able to quote it. But read 1 Corinthians 2:9, I believe it is, David.
But as it is written, eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither hath entered into the heart of man the things which God hath prepared for them that love him.
Everybody does not have that spiritual eye. I have not seen it. It has to be spiritually discerned till you see it. Okay? Now, in Romans chapter 11, I know I'm going to a lot of verses, and like I told you before, you can go in 1,000 different directions. But the Jews themselves, because of unbelief, could not see. They were blinded. They had it at one time. They had the truth. They knew the truth. But these Jews were blinded and cut off, and then we were grafted in. Go to Romans chapter 11. Now let's think about this now. Remember, many prophets and righteous men even desired to see those things but couldn't. Verse 7 says, what then? Israel hath not obtained which it seeketh for, but the election obtained it, and the rest were blinded. They were blinded. And then verse 20 it says, well, because of unbelief, they were broken off. In other words, their eyes were closed. They were broken off, and thou standest by faith, but not high-minded, but fear. For if God spared not the natural branches, take heed he also not spare thee. Behold, therefore the goodness and severity of God on them which fell severely toward the goodness. If thou continue in his goodness, otherwise thou shalt be cut off. Is that happening today? Because of unbelief, are we being cut off? I think so. I think so. We are doing exactly what the Jews did. Because of our unbelief, our eyes have been closed and we have been blinded. I think America is blinded today. You look at our rulers, our president, our cabinet, our Congress, our senators, they doing things that are plumb crazy. Because why? I mean, it's not normal for them to sign bills to kill a baby or whatever. Their eyes have been blinded. I'm talking about all our rulers. And that's scary. The elect, we can see where they're going wrong, can't we, Brother Herman? But it just seems like it's the right thing to do to kill a baby. It's the right thing to do to tear up the flags of America or whatever. Why? Because we're no better off than what those Jews were that were blinded. And this day we have been blinded. So the eyes of God sees us, and he knows what we're doing, and he sees it all. I just got a couple of verses here I want to mention. Time to run out. Psalm 32:8 says, I will instruct thee and teach thee the way which thou shalt go. I will guide thee with mine eyes. Mine eye. God says, I'll guide you, and I got an eye, and I can tell you where to go. Has he set out ways for us to go, and he's guiding us today? Absolutely. And he said he will teach thee the way which you should go, and I will guide thee with thine eyes. Proverbs 20:12, it says, the hearing ear and the seeing eye, the Lord hath made both of them.
Amen.
You hear what I said? The hearing ear, that's a spiritual ear now. And the seeing eye, that's a spiritual eye, the Lord had made even both of them. It isn't nothing that we do, but God is the one that opened your eyes and opened your ears. All the prophets, many of them couldn't see that, couldn't hear. I have not heard, nor ear. I have not seen, nor ear heard things of God. So, Matthew 13:14, and in them filled the prophecy of Isaiah, and I just quoted that, by hearing you shall hear, and shall not understand, and seeing you shall see, and not perceive. And Isaiah 6:9, and John chapter 9, 11 of Romans. All these are talking about the eye of God and our spiritual eyes that he has opened. Blessed are the pure in heart. God sees your heart, for they shall see God. I pray that our hearts will be right, and He'll see us, and we won't be scared for Him seeing us right here now. He's here now, and He sees us now, and He knows where our heart is right or not. So I pray that we'll be blessed and have those spiritual eyes and spiritual ears.
Amen.
Anybody got anything? If not, we'll do this.